classic bodybuilding diet is making you small. Here's why. The classic bodybuilding diet consists of meals like chicken breast with rice and broccoli, egg whites, cans of tuna, and protein shakes. And these meals are high in protein, low in fats, and they're relatively clean foods, right? So, what is the problem with this diet? What is the problem with eating meals like this, which many famous bodybuilders were eating pretty much every single day? Why can't you go ahead and eat the same foods as them? And the very simple answer is they are on steroids and you aren't. Because if you are getting synthetic testosterone, you do not need to worry about your natural testosterone levels. And from the 1980s to the 1990s, the rise of steroid abuse happened. And they had to go ahead and start eating meals like this because they are getting synthetic testosterone. And during the golden era, which happened between the 1950s till the 1970s and even the early 1980s, diets were looking like with high protein, high fat, and low to moderate carbs. And the reason being because they were on less steroids, right? And with less synthetic testosterone, they actually had to go ahead and still eat meals with full of micronutrients, which actually support natural testosterone levels. And their diets were consisting of meat, eggs, bacon, cheese, milk, and fish. And unlike popular opinion, they were actually still eating carbs, but of course they were eating a whole lot less carbs than the mass era guys, the bodybuilders of the 1980s, which were only eating high protein and high carbs, but they were eating low fats. So in the golden era, they actually had high fat diets consisting of, beef, eggs. They would go ahead and carb cycle every now and then. So basically they would eat rice, oats, fruit, honey, and bread every now and then. So they would have a day where they're eating the diet of high fat, being mostly beef, eggs, bacon, some vegetables. And on certain days, they would actually go ahead and have more carbs, and they would have oats, rice, fruit, etc. when they were actually carb cycling. So not every single day they were eating 300 grams of carbs per day. And just to go ahead and compare the steroid abuse, which happened in the 1980s, this is a relatively good assessment of how much steroids the guys from the golden era were taking and how much steroids were the guys from the mass era taking, right? What were their doses? So in the golden era, they were on steroids, but steroids were relatively new at this time, and they were still kind of experimenting with it, and people were honestly kind of open to what their doses were. And this isn't the same dosage for everyone. Of course, every single bodybuilder had their own sort of doses, and not everyone was following the exact same guidelines, but this is relatively a good assessment. So they were taking testosterone, and they were taking up to 100 to 200 milligrams per week of testosterone. So this testosterone is synthetic testosterone, right? And the next drug they were taking was dianabol, and they were taking up to 25 milligrams a day of dianabol. And the thing with the golden era guys was that they were taking steroids, but they were cycling. A lot of them were still cycling the doses, right? So not year-round, not 365 days of the year were they on steroids. They were mostly taking steroids before contest, because the golden era guys, they were training like 2 times per day, and honestly, leaning down and everything, it does stress your body quite significantly. So they would mostly take doses and up their doses before contest. Same thing with the mass era guys, but as you can see, they were taking a whole lot more steroids. So if the golden era guys were taking up to 200 milligrams of testosterone per week, the mass era guys, they were taking up to 2,000 milligrams of testosterone per week. So literally just like 10xing pretty much the dose, right? And they also started including other drugs such as trenbolone, DECA, growth hormone, and even insulin, right? Pretty much every single thing that they ate was literally converting into muscle. There is little to no fat gain. And the guys of the mass era days, when they would go ahead and actually hop on stage, they were a whole lot more drier than the guys of the golden era. And this is why some people prefer the look of the golden era guys than the mass era guys of the 1990s, because they got a whole lot more bigger because of their of course the training was a bit different, but mostly because they started upping a whole lot more steroids, and they actually got way leaner than the guys of the golden era. So this is just a comparison of how much steroids the mass era guys were actually taking more than the golden era guys. So this is why you shouldn't be going ahead and eating people who are on a ton of steroids. They're on a ton of synthetic testosterone, right? And they do not need to go ahead and worry about having good natural testosterone, right? Because all of that is taken care of when you are taking synthetic testosterone. You're injecting synthetic testosterone. And if you go ahead and inject synthetic testosterone, you do not need to worry about having good natural testosterone levels, because you already have so much testosterone that your body honestly has plenty and it doesn't need any more, right? So by including fat in your diet, it is actually going to help with your natural testosterone levels. And the problem with meals like this is because it has very little micronutrients. And meals with very little micronutrients, which are low fat, and meals which are low in fat, they're going to have less micronutrients, right? You're not going to have optimal testosterone levels, because bodybuilders who are on a ton of synthetic testosterone, they do not need to go ahead and optimize their meals to go ahead and have a ton of vitamins, which are fat soluble vitamins, which are crucial for testosterone. They do not need to go ahead and worry about this. But as natural lifters, you need to be going ahead and optimizing your natural testosterone levels. And the best way, and one of the best ways to actually go ahead and do that, it is by actually eating a diet full of cholesterol, because cholesterol is the raw material for testosterone. And unlike popular opinion, which people think that, oh, actually having cholesterol is bad for your heart health and it's going to go ahead and give you cancer and all these types of things. You know, so many studies are actually coming out and so many people are making videos and discussing that this is an absolute myth. And this is honestly just full of just propaganda, right? Made by all kinds of like companies, the fast food companies, and saying that like, oh, you know, like cholesterol, all this type of things, and to just go ahead and promote like more sugar and everything. You can go ahead and do the research, but by including more fat in your diet, you're gonna have more of these fat soluble vitamins, such as vitamin A, the B vitamins, vitamin E, and specifically vitamin K2. And also, you're going to have zinc and magnesium, which are so crucial for testosterone, right? So by having a diet consisting of good, healthy fats, you're going to go ahead and have more of these vitamins, which are so crucial for testosterone. And by having better testosterone levels, you're going to go ahead and build muscle easier. So what should your meals be like? Your meals should be focused on micronutrients over macros. You know, the standardized bodybuilder of today, they're thinking, you know, like, I'm supposed to just get enough protein, you know, get enough carbs before your workout, and then just get enough protein per, you know, 1 pound of body weight, you know. But as natural lifters, the more important thing is actually getting enough micronutrients, right? If you have a diet full of vitamins and minerals with good micronutrients, of course, you're going to have better hormones. As I was talking about, better testosterone levels. You're going to have less cortisol. You're going to be sleeping and resting better. And that is going to go ahead and all result to better muscle growth, right? So you're going to have higher testosterone. You're going to have lower cortisol. And you need to go ahead and swap out meals such as chicken breast and rice, which honestly is a good meal. And if you enjoy a meal like this, then there's nothing wrong with going ahead and eating it. But the problem comes in when you're eating meals like this every single day, pretty much every single meal, and you're just going ahead and expecting that you're going to have a whole lot more gains. But honestly, by eating meals like this, which have fat, they have, you know, carbs, they have vegetables, you know, like this meal is honestly packed with nutrients and minerals. And this is going to go ahead and result to better muscle growth, right? Because it's gonna go ahead and actually help you become more healthy, and it's gonna help make you build more muscle. So I'm not saying for you to go ahead and become carnivore, okay? I'm not saying for you to only go ahead and eat, eggs and meat and everything, but those foods are honestly superfoods, and you should be going ahead and including them more in your diet, because they're honestly just so packed with good nutrients. They're packed honestly still with protein, and they're packed with cholesterol, which is very good for your testosterone. And by eating fat, it's not actually gonna go ahead and make you fat, because so many people still believe this myth that, oh, by eating fat, it's gonna go ahead and convert to body fat. But that's not how it works, okay? If you are somebody who is struggling with, gaining weight, like you say that, oh, I don't eat that much, but I'm still going ahead and gaining so much weight. It is because you eat too much calories, which is above your maintenance. That is why you keep going ahead and gaining weight. It's as simple as that, right? And of course, calories in, calories out is true to some degree, but you need to be going ahead and eating more proper food, because if you eat foods which are unprocessed, you eat whole natural foods such as meat, eggs, vegetables, fruit, and honestly even maybe some whole grains, right? Like, these foods are packed with vitamins and minerals, and your whole body just processes them differently. And that is why it goes ahead and helps you build muscle and to honestly keep the fat away from your body. So the main takeaway from this video is for you to go ahead and have a balanced diet. You should not be going ahead and cutting all carbs away. You shouldn't be cutting out all fats. I'm saying for you to go ahead and still eat a healthy and well-balanced diet. And you should be going ahead and focusing on more of micronutrients over macros, because if you go ahead and focus on micronutrients and you get enough vitamins and minerals, it is going to be a whole lot easier for your body to go ahead and lose fat and to also gain muscle at the same time. And that's about it for this video. If you've enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. And I also have a Skool community in the description of this video, which is called the Aesthetic Academy, made for young men, teenagers who want to go ahead and get aesthetic in the gym. You want to go ahead and improve your diet, improve your training, and you want a community with like-minded people who share the same goals as you. Then check out the Skool community in the description, and thank you for watching this video.